What's up, guys? This is Ian here, coach of your Ladner Lanturn. Bring you guys another draft analysis. I know we just had the GBA one go up not too long ago. Actually, never mind. As of me posting this, you guys will not have seen my GBA fan draft analysis that will be going up on this coming Friday or July the 14th, 14th, the 13th, July the 13th. Yeah, because I guess it's Wednesday now. So, yeah, July the 13th, that'll be going up, and my group stage matches will be going up this weekend for that as well. Anyways, we are part of Red now in Season 7. I know it says Blue League and Red in the same sentence. Don't worry about that. Red is split up into two leagues, the Yellow League, which is the majors, essentially, and Blue League, which is the minors, essentially. Because we're brand new, we automatically start in the Blue League, and actually the owner of the league is in Blue League this season because he dropped out a while ago, and when you come back, you get automatically placed into the Blue League. So Bill Standish is in Blue League with us. We actually play him in week 2, so keep an eye out for that. It'll be pretty cool. Bill Standish is a fairly big name, P4G Season 2 champion. That's pretty much all I know him for. I know him for a lot of graphical work. I know he's Crystal Keys' assistant coach, so I've sort of seen him in the NPA server a few times, and that's sort of the gist of things going on there. This is the red logo on the right of your screen there. It's a pretty cool logo, actually. I did have to resize it because it was too big to fit in Google Slides, so I had to find a website that was reasonably sketchy to resize the file for me so that I could actually be able to upload it onto Google. So that's kind of cool. So I think I should sort of touch on the rules before we get into everything here. This was a points draft. It was a 14-person draft for each league. Each league was 14 people. There's 13 weeks. Everyone plays everybody. We actually played Nacho in the last week. Big surprise there. We played Nacho at the end of most seasons. We were allowed to draft between 9 and 11 mons because it was a points draft, and we only had a budget of 105 points, which is actually really low based on how expensive things were. Things were very expensive for the pricing, but for the budget that we had. I've done a points draft with 105 points before in Mount Silver Season 2, I believe, but the pricing was a lot more reasonable in that league, and a lot of sort of the lower tier things were priced a lot more reasonably, and in this case I think that they were priced too high. So we'll sort of see how that plays into how I distribute my points throughout the draft. What's really cool about this draft is that there's actually a terrain tax and an unburdened tax. So if you draft a weather setter and then you draft, okay, let's say you draft Pelipper and then you draft Mega Swampert. Mega Swampert all of a sudden costs 2 extra points. So that only applied to rain and sand, but all of the rain sweepers and both of the sand sweepers, being Excadrill and Stoutland, they both all of them get a 2-point terrain weather tax, and then if you draft an Unburdenmon with a Tapu, so Hawlucha, Sceptile, or Hitmonlee with Tapu Koko, Tapu Lele, Tapu Fini, Tapu Bulu, they all cost 2 extra points. Oh yeah, Tapu Lele was allowed, by the way. Tapu Lele and Mega Mawile being the two more controversial allows, and Mega Latios actually was not allowed. Mega Latios was, but Mega Latios was not, and yet Tapu Lele was, so I'm blown away. The only thing being that Tapu Lele could not use a Z move, which I don't know if it really makes a difference, to be honest. Like, most of the time, you're just slapping a choice item on Tapu Lele and hoping for the best, and I don't know how much that makes a difference. But anyways, there you go. We then had a 21 point pool for Z-Crystal users. Excuse me. Excuse me. 21 point pool for Z-Crystal users, and it used the prices of the Mons to add up to your points. This is very similar as to what is going to happen in PTL. If you guys missed it, then I was announced, I was the first coach announced for Division 3 of PTL, or the Pokemon Tri-League, on Twitter. So you guys should go check them out. It's at PTL Championship, and I'm probably not going to remember to put it in the description. So, honestly, I just don't care enough to do that. But we will be taking part in PTL, and those will be uploaded as well. In terms of other drafting restrictions, we were forced to draft a Mega, and you'll see that I sort of hop right into it with that. So in the 14 teams and the order of draft, I was 14th, which is kind of cool. I've never had a wheel before, so getting the back wheel was kind of cool as well because I got a chance to sort of scout out and see what everyone else wanted to draft. And I actually ended up taking something that works really well with Tapu Lele, although I couldn't get Tapu Lele because it went first overall. But it's sort of a counter for that, relatively speaking, and it's also something that I've been wanting to try for a while. So I figured I'd grab it on the first wheel, and that is Mega Alakazam. So we end up grabbing Albus here, or Mega Alakazam. Its only ability is Trace. It's going to be shiny, as you see on your screen right there. Not very bulky on the physical side, relatively bulky on the special side, extremely hard-hitting special wall breaker, and it's actually the fastest Mon in the entire league. No one drafted Mega Aerodactyl, which is the only thing that could potentially speed tie with Mega Alakazam in this format. Because we don't allow Deoxys speed, which I believe is the only other thing that would be allowed that's faster. So that's not allowed, and that means that Mega Alakazam is the fastest thing in the entire league. So that's kind of cool. We have the speed advantage always right there, which leads me to believe that Mega Alakazam is going to do work this season. I have no idea if it's going to do work or not. I don't know. It is first turn Mega Evolution, so a little bit excuse me, a little bit on that because I would have loved to abuse Magic Guard a lot more than I could, and honestly, probably would have been in my best interest to just draft regular Alakazam in this draft rather than Mega and take like Mega Aerodactyl instead. But I ended up going with this, so we're sort of stuck with that at this point. 15 points, I believe, for Mega Alakazam, so not super pricey right off the bat either, and I was really happy to get this. Again, it's a huge special wall breaker. It's actually a setup sweeper with Calm Mind as well. A really good sub user. As long as you can hit Focus Blast, it does super well against Steel types as well, which is not saying a whole lot, but there you go. Excuse me, what? Looking forward to using Mega Alakazam. It's been on my list for a while of things that I really want to use. And yeah, I love me a good special wall breaker. So yeah, then I wanted something to be able to break dark types, and I ended up finding the perfect fit, and that is Buzzwole or Nitro in this league. Buzzwole is amazing at killing dark types with fighting and bug stab, both being super effective against dark types. It's pretty good. It's a good physical wall. I'm not going to lie, it's a really good physical wall. It's an amazing 1,000 arrow switch in, which you're always sort of searching for in a draft these days, is a 1,000 arrow switch in. And you'll actually see later that I get another amazing 1,000 arrow switch in. So Zygarde actually looks pretty bad against my team just based on that. And that alone, mind you. But Nitro is pretty cool. Lacks on the special side and the specially defensive side. Oh, excuse me, it's quite late and I'm yawning like I normally do through these videos. So, Buzzwole has a 4x weakness to flying, which isn't great, but it's got a lot of good physical coverage options. It's got reliable recovery and roost. Oh, Mega Alakazam also has reliable recovery and recover. I don't have any hazard setters or removers at the moment, and I'm going on my tertiary core to start the draft off. You normally don't see your Psychic Dark Fighting core right off the bat, but we will actually see that in round 3. I end up picking my Dark type, I think. Round 3 or round 4, I can't remember. Before I even got around to the Fairy Dragon Steel and the Fire Water Grass, I just went straight to the Psychic Dark Fighting. I figured I would bypass all that other shenanigans and just go with this. Pretty cool. I don't know. I'm excited to use Buzzwole. I've never used Buzzwole before. It's a nifty speed tier at 79. Not quite outspeeding those base 80s, or speed tying those base 80s, but it outspeeds base 75s pretty reliably. Oh, excuse me. Speed ties things like Necrozma, which is kind of cool. Beast Boost, I should mention Beast Boost. It can Beast Boost on the attacking and the defensive side. I believe those are the only two that it can Beast Boost off of. Still pretty reliable and pretty cool either way. Round 3, we actually bring back an old favorite in Donphan. If you guys remember my NCL Season 1 run, we used Donphan really well that season. It ended up with double-digit kills, and it was the defensive part of the defensive core of the team. really good rocker, which is kind of what my team needed at this point. A little bit slower, which is, it's okay with Mega Alakazam with all the speed there. Sort of functions in the same way as Buzzwole as a defensive wall, although you can run it Spadef a little bit better because it's not weak to things like Air Slash. And honestly, Hidden Power Flying isn't a horrible option against Buzzwole either, and Donphan eats those for breakfast. You'll notice that I don't really have a huge weakness right now. I finally pick up another a knockoff user as well, which is kind of cool. Always looking for that, and a removal option in Donphan as well. I like the spin. Might have been a little bit early in round 3, but again, I had the wheel, so think of them in pairs, right? So round 1 and 2 were at the same time, round 3 and 4 same time, right? Base 50 speed isn't fantastic. Again, doesn't really matter that much. Donphan actually gets a lot of really cool coverage, things like Seed Bomb and Play Rough that you wouldn't normally see. I've actually run Assault Vest Donphan a few times. Pardon me. And a Rock Polish set is always fun as well. I know the red guys like to get really creative with their building, and so I'm going to sort of try and step up my game on my creativity of building, which has been lacking fairly recently, actually. I feel like the peak creativity I hit was back in LET Season 1 and things like UPBA Season 1. So then round 4 we actually end up grabbing Bisharp or Bring Webs, please. So my Dark type and also the Steel type for my Fairy Dragon Steel Core. Defiant user is really cool. I have 3 really solid physical attackers now. Bring in Bisharp with 125 base attack. Another decent defensive wall as well with 100 base defense. Steel types always tend to have a really high defense stat. Speed tier fits in between Donphan and Buzzwole at the moment. Not the bulkiest thing ever. It's also 4 times weak to fighting. But I do have some really good fighting resists already to back up the Bisharp in the Mega Alakazam and the Buzzwole. Now, granted, Mega Alakazam's not really going to want to take fighting moves on the physical side pretty much ever. Because it's so frail on the physical side anyways, but Buzzwole can eat those hits for days. Sucker Punch I really like. It's also another Stealth Rocker, so we have 2 Stealth Rockers now. And that's pretty cool. It's a Swords Dance user, so I've got more setup. Beast Boosting, Calm Minder, Rock Polisher, and an Swords Dancer now. Bisharp can function fairly well with an Assault Vest, I feel as well. It tanks special hits relatively well. Anything that's sort of that threatening. Round 5, I can't even remember what I had round 5. What did I think? Sorry. Another old favorite in round 5, we end up grabbing Mom or Alomomola. If you guys remember from D&D Season 6, our, I don't want to call it a championship team that season, but we did end up winning the losers bracket, so we ended up claiming 3rd place, I guess. So our bronze medal performance. This is the start to a regen core. You'll actually see we do pick up another regenerator model later. Really fat Wish Passer. I needed a good water resist. You always want water resist, and Alomomola sort of fits that bill. Not super bulky on the special side or the physically defensive side necessarily either, but that huge HP stat is really cool. I like the idea of Wish Passing to something like Buzzwole and not having to run Roost and being able to run like 4 coverage moves, for example. I really like that idea. Alomomola is really, it's reliable. It's all reliable. That's kind of what it's there for. And I actually wasn't going to take Alomomola this round. I had Latias in mind because I thought Latias would have made my team pretty amazing, to be honest. Pick up a Defogger, nice fast-ish Mon that fits in between like Buzzwole and Mega Alakazam right off the bat. Really solid Dragon type. More reliable recovery. Calm Mind user as well, really good Z user, which is kind of what I had my eye on as well. But unfortunately, Latias got sniped before it could come back to us, so I was a little bit sad about that, and we ended up going with another defensive Mon with our next pick, but something that fits in between the speed tiering there. We pick up Lade Comfy, which has base 100 speed, so it's fitting between Buzzwole and Mega Alakazam, not as much as I would like it to. I need something a little bit faster to fit in between this and Mega Alakazam later. Again, not super physically defensive. It's got really decent natural special bulk. It's a really good Calm Mind user. Triage makes it pretty busted with Triage Draining Kisses. I mean, honestly, the priority on healing moves is like kind of busted in my mind. And Comfy's generally like not seen as the greatest fairy, but it's an extremely good value pick, especially in a points draft. And I've sort of been going cheaper with some of these picks now to make up for later, so I can grab something maybe a little bit more expensive. I did have something like Salamence in mind, which is a 15-point dragon, I believe. Excuse me.
Mm.
I've seen some water to clear up my throat there. I'm feeling a little bit sick. Um, yeah, Comfy is really cool. I'm excited to use Comfy. Again, it's a defogger, so I've got more removal now, which is kind of neat. A fairy with, healing capabilities. I believe it's got aromatherapy and stuff like that, so we have a cleric now. And then round 7, I end up grabbing another old-ish favorite, which you guys might remember from PCL Season 1. We end up grabbing Lucerne or Miltank. 3 great abilities. Physically defensive wall. It's not really a special attacker, but it can be a physical attacker. More reliable recovery and milk drink. It's a very useful. It's another cleric with heal bell. It's a rocker, which is really cool. I like having a reliable rocker on the team outside of Donphan, so I can run different Donphan sets. It's more of a utility mon, honestly, but it can be seen reasonably offensive. Seismic Toss is something you'd like most of the time you'll see on this thing as well, which is good for breaking subs on things that want to set up on it. Seems to be tiers comfy, so I'm not super stoked about that, just the base 100. But, it sort of does its things. Next up, we picked something new as well. We picked up I'm Kelping, Dragalge. I figured picking up a grounded poison type is always useful. It's starting to become a lot more popular. T-Spikes are starting to become a lot more popular, like a lot. And grabbing my own T-Spike setter was kind of cool. And T-Spike Absorber in the first place is also nice. And grabbing a dragon was pretty useful as well. I didn't really have the best SPDF at the moment. Like I've sort of got a good mix of defense and SPDF-ish, and Dragalge sort of fits that role. And I mean, adaptability Draco Meteors pretty much don't have a switch in. Like this thing's fairly powerful despite it only having a base 97 special attack. It's really slow. It's currently the slowest thing on the team. Um, it actually won't end up being the slowest thing on the team, but it's currently the slowest thing on the team, and it just hits so hard. Like honestly, it's so hard. Pretty much the best budget dragon I could get at this point. I was actually looking at Drudagon as another rocker as well, and Drudagon went like round 5. Like someone took it round 5. It was absolutely insane. I mean, then again, I'm the guy who took Mega Alakazam round 1, but we were forced to draft a Mega, and some people didn't know that, so that's where they were sort of ending up. Now, heading into round 9, people were starting to run out of points. I still had like a lot of points left. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I actually had like 28 points left or something for one more pick guaranteed, which meant that I was getting at least 2 picks guaranteed, because I could have drafted like a 19-point mon, and actually all the 19-point mons were gone at that point, and all the 18-point mons were gone, and I think all the 17-point mons were gone. Like basically all the really good stuff was pretty much gone at the time. And I'm a fan of being able to use 11 mons in a draft, so that's sort of the sweet spot for me. 12 is too many, 10 is too little, so 11 is a nice sweet spot there. So that's sort of what we're going to aim to do here. And again, in round 9, people were running out of points, so it's basically, it went a lot faster and there's a lot more selection. So I sort of left the things that I felt that I could get later um, for the end, because I knew I was going to get sniped less on those. So we ended up grabbing Vikavolt, which is something that I really wanted to try actually. It's going to be What's Up, which I think is kind of cool. I sort of went with the pun nicknames a little bit too hard here. Another really devastating special attacker. I think you'll find that my team is filled with pretty devastating special attackers. Mega Alakazam base 175 special attack, Vikavolt base 145, and then adaptability boosted Dragalge Draco Meteors doing tons of damage. I don't know, and I've got another really good special attacker coming up a little bit later, but I felt like Vikavolt was really cool. It was actually my first Rocks weakness, so I wasn't super concerned about my lack-ish of removal, and I don't necessarily think it's a lack of removal either. I do have a Defogger and a Spinner on the team, so it's not like I'm lacking there entirely, but, Vikavolt does suffer a little bit from having rocks up on our side of the field. This is the slowest thing on the team, 1 point underneath Dragalge. I do have sort of a Trick Room aspect here. I don't know if I actually drafted any setters. Maybe Mega Alakazam gets it, but that's, it's a reasonably viable strategy for my team to run. It's a good agility user, so I like having the setup options. The agility there is going to be pretty cool. It's a ground immunity, which I don't know if I had before. Did I? I don't think I drafted a flying type. Oh, yeah, I guess I didn't end up actually drafting a flying type because I had Buzzwole as a ground resist already, and I drafted Vikavolt as a ground immunity. And actually, our next pick is a ground resist. If you guys remember, this is an old favorite from LAT Season 1, Tangled. Finishing off a regen core, giving us a nice bulky grass type, and again, a really good Thousand Arrows switch in. So Buzzwole and Tangela together pretty much means that Zygarde is doing nothing against my team. And honestly, I'm not super weak to Thousand Arrows anyways, like Dragalge and Bisharp are the only ones that are weak to it so far. And I've got a lot of good ways to deal with Zygarde on this team, so I've sort of amended that. And just because I know that in red they like their snakes, so Zygarde and Mega Gyarados are kind of the big things for the guys in this league, and that's sort of how I played around that. And heading into round 11, I think there were only 3 of us that actually picked in round 11, 3 or 4 of us that picked in round 11 to actually grab a last mon, and I ended up grabbing. I had 14. I had 14 points left, and I didn't spend all of them. There was nothing that fit what I wanted in 14 points in the 14-point range. I needed something between Comfy and Miltank and Mega Alakazam that was extremely important to fill that speed gap. I also wanted a fire type-ish. I didn't really need a fire type, but I was looking at a fire type, and we ended up grabbing Salazzle. Throwback to PCL Season 1 as well as the Miltank, so we're bringing back a lot of old favorites here. The Alomomola, the Salazzle, the Miltank, the Donphan, and the Tangela. All old favorites. Salazzle is a pretty decent fire type. It's a really good special attacker, hits a really good speed tier. It's another T-Spike absorber. It doesn't actually get T-Spikes itself, but ground and poison types are always cool. It's 4 times weak to ground, so I really have to count on my ground immunities and ground resist coming into clutch for the team. I don't know how well I can cover it. It's a good nasty plot setter, I guess, as well. I'm looking forward to using Salazzle again. I didn't use it super well in PCL Season 1, but my team was like pretty much hyper offense in that league. I didn't really have a lot of bulk. It was like Primarina, which could switch in maybe twice, and like Tyranitar, maybe. And then I ended up dropping some stuff for Miltank and Cresselia, which actually gave me decent options for switching in on things. So I probably won't regret that anymore, but that team was just horrendous. Anyways, last but not least, let's sort of talk about the Z Captains here. I don't have too much to talk about this. If you guys want to check out the power rankings, I don't think that they're up yet. They might be up on Friday, but I'll try and remember to leave a link to the Red website in the description, which is where the tier list is and all of the team data and the league tables, and you can find the replays and stuff there of the matches and stuff. So just to keep yourselves posted on the rest of the league. Obviously, if you want to see my perspective, I'll be uploading team builders and the battles for Red. I do believe that we were getting GFX for this, or graphic effects is what that stands for. So I'm pretty sure there'll be an intro, and I downloaded a free video editing software program, so I'm sort of going to try and play around with that. Just as my last point before we talk about Z Captains. And yeah, so I'll try and edit in the intro to my videos and sort of do it that way. And then I believe we're also going to get thumbnails and stuff as well, so you guys should look up for the thumbnails. I've sort of been trying to follow up on that. Jed's been really good about getting like thumbnail things for Wailord NCL, and then he actually made me one for all 3 of us, myself, Austin, and Jed, for the GBA fan draft. And I don't believe Austin's actually uploading for that because he can't talk yet, but it's been helpful to have that thumbnail for GBA fan draft as well. I'm not good at making that stuff, and it shows up nicer when you guys are looking through my videos category, so that's kind of there. Anyways, last but not least, we had 21 points for Z Captains, and I only wanted one of these to be my Z user. I didn't draft a ton of really good Z users. I think like Dragalge might have been something I was considering. But realistically, because I drafted a Mega as my Psychic type, I didn't really... Psychic types get really good coverage, right? And so using them as a Z user is generally what you want to do. But I ended up going with Vikavolt as my main Z user, which is what the whole point of this was, is that I wanted Vikavolt. But I was like, well, you know, I still have 15 points to spend, you know. And it just so happened that Bisharp plus Tangela added up to that. So Bisharp's actually not a bad Z user itself. It's a really good Darkinium Z user. I could see it being used as a Steelium Z user as well, every once in a while. Tangela, on the other hand, is probably never going to take it, but, you know, it's there as a threat. I know that guys were memeing about, oh no, Z Tangela, I'm so scared. Well, you know, I was just using my points. Like, come on, give me a break, guys. Just using my Z points, okay? Anyways, that's going to be it for me. Again, I will try and remember to link the Red League website in the description. And hopefully you guys enjoy, and hopefully you stick around for the Red content coming up this season. Again, PTL Season 1 Division 3 content will be coming out as well. We're currently in the middle of drafting for that. And this weekend, you guys should start to see the GBA fan draft videos come out as well. I'm really excited for that. It's a really cool tournament. I've never been part of an 8-mon tournament before, and I'm looking forward to playing in that tournament.